guys feel like the kids take the 3 through 8 testing right now? So, the state came out and they said, oh, we think we had it fixed yesterday, we think we had it fixed today. They came out and said, well, when we started it up this year, someone had switched a button that's supposed to be off to on, and we switched it back, so we should be okay now. And I'm thinking, so yesterday when you said you had it fixed, you were wrong.
So we're live, so.
We're good?
Not yet.
Yes, we are.
I'm waiting for the delay to catch up.
I'm looking at it.
Are we there?
I'm looking at the live.
We're looking at the live shot. Let's go.
Good?
You are?
Yeah. Okay, we are calling to order at 6:03. I am making a motion to go into executive session. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Heather Becker. All in favor?
Have the reason, you have to say the reason why.
To discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person. I made the motion. Heather Becker was a second. All in favor? Okay. 4 in favor, none against. We are moving into executive session, and we will be back at 6:30 for the budget work session. We have just returned from executive session, and we're about to hear the budget presentation by our business official. John?
Thank you very much. A lot of the expense and revenue stuff is very similar to what was presented in March. There are a couple loose ends, a few different loose ends that are out there still, even at this late date, but we'll touch on those as well. Our vision and mission have been unchanged. Considerations of the budget. Obviously, we're in a future focus. We're looking, multiple years down the road, not just focused on next year, but what's the next 3, 4, or 5 years going to look like, and making sure we're in a good spot to deal with the challenges that could be ahead. So we'll look at revenues, expenses, and the propositions. And later in the meeting, I think it's part of the consent agenda, you'll have item 24.01, where you'll approve the 2 propositions that will be to be voted on in May. On revenue side, no changes to the tax cap calculation. We had a small growth factor of 0.006 or less than 1% we were given in our formula. The allowable growth factor, even though CPI was 2.95, our allowable growth factor is capped at 2%. That's where 2% cap language comes from. But of course, there's other factors that could create differences that could have you above or below 2%. You look at our history, you see we hover in the mid-2 to high 2% range. Last year we were at 3.25. When we plug our numbers into the formula that the state gives us to work with, we have that growth factor on top. We have our 2% cap in the middle. And when we put our numbers in, we come out at 3.34% of an allowable tax levy increase. That's an allowable amount that requires a simple 50% majority vote. If you chose to exceed that, you'd need a 60% supermajority. But this budget does not have that. We just need the 3.34 allowable increase. So if you look at the estimated tax impact, this is really rough, and we put this out there just kind of a general guideline. If in a perfect world where nobody's property values change next year, the equalization rates didn't change next year, if everything remained constant, you'd receive about, on $250,000 market house, around $90 increase on taxes. But of course, that's going to be different. Things are going to change. Assessments are going to change. Equalization rates are not published yet for next year, and that will change how that spread of taxes is distributed. Mm-hmm.
And that last line, just so everyone is aware, estimates are based on the 25-26 equalization rates. Will change for 25-26. It looks like it's changing even though it's the same. It's not because of when the equalization rates come out. They come out in the summer, so they will be updated end of July, early August.
Yeah, August. And we typically find is with the equalization rates, because there's 6 different assessors doing 6 different equalization rates, 1 or 2 towns will see a little bit of a higher increase. The rest will see a little bit lower, but it seems to always circulate around, and over 2 or 3 year average, you will get the 3% roughly average tax increase. We look at our rate per thousand, when this is the equalized rate, how you kind of compare districts that are around us. And this is just looking at throwing out the equalization rate differences, and if you just looked at property values, what our tax rate would be, you see that rate has been coming down over the past number of years. That's really because of property values going up so fast. With more property value to spread our same levy across, it gives you the appearance of a lower equalized tax rate. And you can, the important thing, I guess, to see is that while it's been dropping substantially a couple years back, it has kind of flattened out in the last 2 years, probably indicating that property values are kind of flattened out as well. They're not growing as fast as they were 2-3 years ago. Of course, your tax bill will vary based on assessed value, equalization rates, and that kind of thing. The important part of our revenue is that foundation aid, and at this point in time, we know that the executive proposal that the governor did in January was a 2% minimum increase. That's what we would be eligible for, a 2% increase on foundation aid. Since then, the Senate and Assembly have put forth their own proposals, which are higher than that, 3 and 2.9%. We don't know where it's going to land. The state budget was due on 4/1. It obviously is not completed at this time, and they expect to go back in session tomorrow to do another extension. But there's lots of other issues that are really being debated. It's not really foundation aid that's being debated. There's a lot of other things like cell phone use in schools and things like that.
Mm-hmm. There's some with the justice and so on. Right now, I find it very interesting. The governor made a comment that she understands that we need to have a finalized budget for what the foundation aid is and aid to schools in order to do our budgets. And she says we will have that on time when we need it. We needed it a month ago. So her and I have differing opinions of what on time and is needed for with that. I apologize to the public. It is a state thing that we can't do, but John has built-in safeguards to take care of it.
Yeah, it's just one of the many challenges we have is when it's a major source of revenue, we don't know what that number is, and we're supposed to go out to vote in 5 weeks or something like that. So definitely a challenging thing. But to kind of deal with that, what we did was we allocated a little more reserves this year, and the reserve we chose was TRS reserve for retirement system. So we allocated a little more out of that reserve. But as you see at the bottom, if foundation aid is increased, which the Senate and Assembly have 2.9 and 3% increases, if we get one of those or something close to that, we'll have our state aid then. We won't remove that reserve amount, and we will have a no change increase, no change in the reserve allocation for next year. So that's kind of our safety there. In case it does go back to 2, we're covered either way. No matter if they're 2 or 3% or anywhere in between, we'll be fine. On the expense side, the budget retains all the following items. So when I look at expenses, I highlighted instructional and employee benefits because they're the larger portions of our budget, and I have a couple slides that'll go a little farther into those areas. When we look at general expenses, that's really administration, maintenance, custodial, keeping our buildings maintained. You see that's a 3.4% increase. Usually that's in the 2s, and it would be in the 2s, but we're being told that we should really budget for higher utility expenses next year, being natural gas, electricity. We work with the school municipal cooperative, which is out of Iroquois BOCES. They have experts in this business that advise us on what to allocate for next year. They're anywhere from 10 to 30% increases next year, they're thinking, on utilities. So I have to build that in. So that's about $70,000 of that $216,000 is utilities increase. So if you took that out, we'd be in the 2.5 range on general. Instructional expenses are really 2.75. I'll break those down a little in a couple slides. Transportation, 4.19. Again, that one sees utility increases because we charge utilities that are used at the transportation office to the transportation accounts. We do that because transportation expenses are eligible for transportation aid, which means if we spend $1, we get 53 cents back the next year. So if they're using gas and electric over there, we expense those directly to their codes so that we get that maximum amount of aid back next year. And also they're getting hit with expenses on tires, oil, parts. We're allocating a little more towards building repairs because we need to do some work at their building to make sure they're just keeping pace with the rest of the things. We're not allocating really repairs in the next capital project for transportation building, so we're trying to do those repairs in-house, allocate a little bit more money so we can address those as they come up. And then employee benefits, 1.83, very reasonable, I think, in the world with benefits. I think we're doing good there. And debt service, which is really just our actual debt payments that we have on bonds for our capital projects, for our buses, going up slightly, 1.74%. So if you go a little farther into instructional budget, this kind of breaks it down a little further. From left to right, you can see instructional development and supervision. That's where we allocate a little more money towards professional development, about $80,000 towards that. So that kind of is part of that 4.5% increase. Regular instruction went down a little bit.
I want to just jump in there real quick because it's about instruction development and supervision, and that's where we have, Dr. Dudas giving me the anticipated professional development needs for 25, 26. She through 29, 30. She also does have a survey out that we do annually with the staff, and so that 109 is still a lot lower than we've done other years. And I just want to make sure, because I think I put this out to the board, and I just want to make sure it's clear to the public too, that we've had department heads and grade level leaders that kind of oversee departments and grade levels. With us going to needing more staff development for what we're doing for training with the reading, principals got together and said for the grade level leaders that they would rather have that money go towards staff development for all the teachers, because then we could have professionals come in and present that information. So we're still having department heads, but we're not going to be posting for grade level leaders. The principals will be working with teachers and study teams, because the main focus this year and next year is about the CKLA, the reading program we're bringing in to make sure we're having continuity in there. And the grade level leaders met once a month, and we had talked to them about information they took down, and they did a great job. By all means, this is nothing against them, but we want a more consistent, hands-on, in the building approach to this for consistency and support to teachers, because what we're hearing is they need greater support in this, and this will provide more time, more training to support them as we go through this in the beginning. In the future, we could be going back, but for next year, we think this is a better resource. Is that an increased cost to the budget? No, we're just taking the funds from X and putting it into Y, and it'll actually go out to more teachers so that the teachers will still be receiving it. Instead of a few, will be more teachers.
Thank you. And regular instruction, you see it going down slightly. That's really driven by retirements. We had more than our typical amount of retirements in instructional, so that kind of drove that cost a little down. Students with disabilities, a lot of that is the outside placements. We're seeing that there's not a lot of supply out there for outside placements when we have students to move out in different places, and because of that supply demand, those placements are getting more expensive as well. So that's what we're seeing in that area. Occupational education, we've talked about in the last couple meetings about enrollment at BOCES Career and Tech. The enrollment's up, so that initially that price is going to go up purely on enrollment of our students. Special schools is really not, we don't have much there. It's mostly adult education programs. We don't run really true summer school programs, so we really don't have much there. Instructional media is our library and our computer technology, 2.17% increase, modest. And pupil services, that's our nurses, guidance, social workers, athletics, co-curricular club activities, 2.5% increase there. And then if I look at undistributed, which is really our benefits primarily, if you look across there at Our retirement expenses are really not, they're going up, but not really nearly what we've seen 5, 6, 7 years ago. Manageable amounts there. Social Security, just a normal 2.69. Health insurance, 1.5 only, which is great. I think the board probably remembers that we did a RFP. We put out to bid our pharmaceutical program of our health insurance. There's medical and there's pharmaceutical health insurance. We took our pharmaceutical, put it out to bid with the open market, and had some good results, lowered our costs there, and that's reflected there at a 1.5% increase in health insurance. And a little bit increase on our flex benefits, TSA, and our debt service, again, reflecting actual bond payments that we have, 1.74% increase there. And this is kind of some of the things I already talked about, like, that volatility in the utility market is what we're concerned about next year, so we built that into the budget. Transportation we talked about, instruction, 5 to 10% increases in special education placements, and our career and tech education. We also include a capital outlay project for $100,000 in the budget. This is going to, again, address the transportation building. We'll do as much work as we can. $100,000 doesn't get you nearly what it used to get you 5 years ago, but we'll try to address the lift. They have at least one lift they'd like to have rebuilt and refurbished, I guess I'd call it. Look at their HVAC and heating system and try and improve that if we can. And there's many pavement repairs that we could do as well if the money allows. And that's to be completed in the summer of 2026.
And there could have possibly be an adjustment there if the state goes through, because there's always talk of raising that limit. If they raise that limit, it would be prudent for us to raise it too, but without an approved budget, we don't know, so we're sticking with what information we have now.
Yep. And then we'll talk a little about staffing. I was going to have Dave Sellen touch on some of these items.
Thanks, John. Right, so the first one, we have retirement in the intermediate building and teacher aide. There's going to be a reduction there. We're not going to be filling that position. We had a teacher on a special assignment, and we're not going to be filling that position, really thanks to Dr. Dudek and the great work she's been doing in implementing the reading program. At the middle school level, the counseling center was set up that there was 2 counselors, 2 social workers. The change next year is going to be 3 counselors and 1 social worker. So that position will be replaced. It's just going to be as a counselor, not a social worker.
And this was brought to us by the principal because now there can be 1 person assigned to each grade, and that way they'll get to know the students better and provide greater resources.
Right. And they'll follow that grade up each year, so they'll really get to know the kids. We have in the budget, includes the funding for the family support director. That's still partially funded through a grant for the 25-26 year. The middle school assistant principal, the hiring process is underway, and I'm here to ask the board, we're having interviews on April 21st and April 22nd, starting about 8 in the morning till about 3 o'clock. If anyone can join us for those interviews, just reach out to Nora and let her know that.
Or you could tell us right now, because that'd be a lot more efficient.
Or if your calendar says you're available
Who would
right
like
now.
to be on it?
I know Jane did say that she would like to be on it. She doesn't know the date, obviously,
Okay.
but she did mention that to me in an email.
Is everyone good with, we'll reach out to Jane then, is everyone good with that? Anyone else interested? All right, why don't you reach out to Jane and make sure she's available. If not, Nora can put an email out to the remaining 6 members.
Sounds good. And then the last one.
Whoop, that might be Jane right there buzzing my phone saying she wants to do it. No, it is not.
Okay.
She usually is watching always.
Included with the top portion where it talked about the social worker to the counselor, as we replaced that, we had 7 retirements for teaching staff, and we'll be replacing those 7 teachers.
Thank you. So when we go look at the expenses again, 2.59% increase on expenses. So that matches our revenues at this point, and we are in balance. And we have a number now to put to the Proposition 1 for a general fund budget, $60,382,075. Proposition 2 is our normal vehicle replacement proposition, 3 full-size buses, 1 30-passenger, and 1 wheelchair lift-equipped bus. Not to exceed $763. It typically does come in well below that because we have some, we don't trade. We find we're getting better luck through Auctions International with these buses, so we're doing that. It also kind of helps us maximize aid a little better as well if we do that. So that's the kind of the not to exceed number, but it'll be well below 763.
And we get the question sometimes, will this be electric buses? And I can guarantee you, 3 full-size buses for 500,000 is not for electrical buses, not even close.
Traditional fuel for all of these vehicles. And then we do have the one board seat open, and there still is a little time till April 21st for petitions to be turned into our district clerk if you are interested. So the next thing we have scheduled is May 13th, the budget hearing, which is required, I think, 10 days before our budget vote. And then the May 20th vote in our intermediate building.
What's the question? Yeah, so the question is, isn't there a special meeting? So what we have for the public to know is there's a meeting, we have to have a special meeting to approve the BOCES budget, and then we have to have our regular budget hearing, our regular board meeting in May. So there is an extra one in there for the board that really doesn't affect the public.
April 29th
April 29th.
at 6 PM, and it'll last to about 6:02 PM.
Any questions on any of the slides you saw?
Nope, but I'm checking my calendar right now to make sure I have that.
The date change is April 29th.
April 29th.
It was.
It was when we were outvoted by, city BOCES.
Yeah.
All the BOCES districts have to do it at the
Here.
same time, the same.
All the school districts in our Erie 2 BOCES have to vote on the date. We were outvoted, so we did not get our first choice.
I think I'm done. Thank you very much.
Excellent job. Thank you.
We have 10 minutes before the regular board meeting starts, so for those watching at home, you can run, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, because that's what we're going to do here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Call us to order here. Welcome to the Iroquois Central School District Board of Education meeting. There are 2 recognition of guest periods, one for agenda-related items and one for other topics. Please refrain from personal-related comments and address those to the appropriate administrator. To speak, fill out the proper form and submit it to the district clerk. Public comment is limited to 15 minutes total, with each speaker being allowed up to 3 minutes. This meeting is held in public rather than a public meeting. And while we won't engage in dialogue tonight, we are listening. This meeting is live streamed and the recording will be posted online. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which is being said by the intermediate schools students, Alyssa, Bella, and Cora. Everyone, please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for doing this. Nice job.
Okay, next we'll hear from middle school students Bryn and Maxton for the middle school for the middle school report.
Good evening, and thanks for having us here again. A lot's happened since January when I was last here speaking with you. I'll start with Monday and Tuesday. We were doing state testing, and we weren't doing state testing. And we're doing state testing, and then we weren't doing state testing. But I'll let you read about that in the paper. Let's move on to some bigger things. Not to steal the thunder for the high school, but I was able to participate today up at the high school with Mrs. McCoy's class, where we welcome 57 new citizens to our country. What a fantastic job the students did, and Mrs. McCoy. So I'm sure you'll be hearing about that, but it was an exciting day, thus my attire here. With the winter season of sports just ending, we had 73 middle schoolers participating, and as the spring sports are underway, we have 132 participating athletes. That's about 30% of our building, and sixth graders aren't even in the sports. So that's a large percentage of our students. So we're very thankful, appreciate all of your help and support with all those different endeavors. Well, speaking of seasons, we're also busy in the interview season. We are trying to fill 3 spots. We have 3 staff members with over almost 100 years of service. So congratulations goes out to Mrs. Whalen, Mrs. Campbell, and Mr. Karstensen. We certainly wish them a wonderful and healthy, happy retirement, and we thank them for all their commitment and dedication to the district for 100 years of service. We also completed the added excitement in our building, all the noise from the solar project on the roofs. I'm sure you'll be hearing about that in capital projects, the trenching through the parking lots and everything. So a lot of exciting things there, but it's quieter now. I think we've kind of neared a completion of that. Today was another Walter Wednesday. This is the students, one of their favorite days of the week, get over the hump day. And I've been talking to Mr. Schlabach. We're going to see if we can train Walter to actually speak, and then maybe he could come as wagging tail. He might do a better job at this than I do, and he can do some of these presentations. Mrs. Persinger wanted me to thank you for all the support that you provided our middle school drama club, and our students today had an hour assembly with the high school drama club, Freaky Friday, which will be coming up this weekend, so we got a sneak peek at that, and that was really enjoyable. Our clubs are still engaged. They're engaging students. We have one student here tonight. Bryn will be speaking to you about that. And before I turn it over to Bryn and then to Max, I just want to do a quick shout out to Mrs. Langhire and Mr. Beto, our high school assistant principals, for all their efforts they do on a daily basis. If you're unaware, this week is National Assistant Principal Week, so congratulations to them.
Thank you for coming in and talking, and Max, we wish you the best of luck with everything you're facing, and I'm glad everyone's supporting you. Let us know anything else you need during these times.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to board discussion and news we're sharing. The first item is the new board member orientation. We discussed a few things. One of the things was a handbook, which we've decided, not to do. We obviously like new board members. We'd like to encourage them to get their training done as quickly as possible after election, so they understand their roles. With the orientation, Doug, was there anything that you were going to change, or?
No, I did include the presentation that I do, or the conversation I have, the PowerPoint I share with every new board member. So if you guys see in there anything, having experience being on the board, that you feel I should include or highlight or do stronger, just let me know, because I'm sure your experience will help benefit the board members for next year, or the one board member for next year.
And like I said, I just want to call it out again. The biggest thing is to do the training as soon as you can. The in-person training is better than the online version, but it's only offered once, right, Nora? Yeah. So if you miss it, it becomes a little more challenging. Okay. Next, we're going to move on to the exit surveys.
So with that survey, that's the exit survey with our strategic plan. There's 3 area facilities, student instructional experience and communication. With that, this is just for the community. This is not the one for the parents, not the one for the students, not the one for employees. So with that, we already have a capital project decided, so I didn't do really anything with facilities in here. Student instructional experience, that would come from students and parents, even though some parents might do this. So we really tried to focus on questions just about communication, making sure they're getting information. There is some stuff here because there could be individuals that are they're still parents, but of graduates, parents of graduates, to get their feedback, scale of 1 to 4, because this way we couldn't have non-committal people at a 5, which we had before. Either got to go good or bad. And then the comments for them if they want to add anything in here. This is a draft, so if you guys see anything you would like changed in here, let us know, because I'll finalize it, and in May we'll look at it one last time, and then it will be distributed during the exit survey, that we can use this in part of the feedback we use in reviewing the strategic plan and coming up with a new direction for going forward.
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the district planning conference agenda and a date. This is the one that we talked about last meeting. I think we discussed we'd like to take it from 2 days, for the board, from like 2 days to a half a day in the morning, where it's just going to be a get together, maybe have like a light breakfast and discuss some data and information that we would need to know from the district, and some results, and take away a lot of the presentations and all the meeting with the administrators.
Yeah, so I meet with administrators anyways all throughout the time, so that's not a need of this meeting. It's really to inform the board and taking feedback from this year. It'd be more of a work session format, and what we would cover in it, board training, and we'd figure out what that is, maybe 30 minutes. We would review the board goals, 15 minutes, board evaluation, discuss how you're doing, another 30 minutes. Then we'd spend topics on presentations like we did this year. So therefore, that's where we build in data, that this month we want to hear from the elementaries, this month we want to hear from the high school. If I look at the sheet that we had the Family Support Center came 3 times, building condition survey, strategic plan, the zero emission buses, review of policy. So we would develop basically a schedule for the year like we did here, so you still get all the information you desire to make your decisions. So topics for presentations, 15. A litigation update, we really don't have many, maybe a bus bumped a car, 2 minutes for that. And then any appointments for Dave of hires, that'd be like another 2 minutes that we need to hire these 3 people. So that's really, when I add up the time, it's about 2 hours. We were thinking July 22nd, because we already said that was the dates we had before. I was saying 10 to 12, but we could make it 9 to 11. So what are you guys thinking about the time? What would work for everybody?
Yeah, I would generally, I think 9.
All right, because we could have a light working breakfast during it, which would be pancakes, eggs, bacon, sausage. No. I like big breakfasts. You guys tell me. I'm thinking about 2 hours is all we need based on this timeline and these items for the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, so if those are the two options,
that's good,
I definitely think the earlier we could do it, the better.
Just give me the time you want to start and plan on 2 hours.
I mean, I'm good with 8 if that's too early. It's too early.
7:30.
7:30?
We're not going to be here. I'm looking out at Dawn. She said 4. Paula's Donuts.
So, I mean, do we think 8, 7:30? 7:30?
7, we need what, 7:30?
7:30? 7:30.
7:30, 7:30? Okay. So that'd be about 7:30 to 9:30, and we'll have stuff to eat during that. And thank you always for giving up your days and time as a board member, because I know it's voluntary.
We didn't pick a date yet, right?
July 22nd is what I put out there, because that's what we had put out for the traditional district planning conference, was July 22nd and 23rd. So I just kept it on one we had already given you for the board.
Okay. And that is totally cool. I may be in the Outer Banks at that point, which don't have to move it for me.
That might even be better.
Yeah. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah. So but I'm good.
That's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday. So, yeah, we can go for that for now, though.
Tuesday?
Yes, it's just.
Okay. I do have one other thing under board discussion. It's really not from me, but Jane Sullivan did write this in, so I want to make sure everyone hears it. She says, to my esteemed, and Jane, I'm going to get 99% of it. My esteemed colleagues, board, and the Iroquois community, I may not be at our own meeting this evening. I have the pleasure of representing our board at Erie 2 BOCES annual meeting for component districts last week. We're the most northern district in Erie 2, which is 1,791 square miles. It was held in Fredonia on April 2nd. Our former colleague, Dave Lowry, is on the board, and it was really nice seeing him. There was a program handout. It contained a list of the component boards and the names of their members and their superintendents, including Iroquois. First hour was an enjoyable open house. She was able to meet students from all over the southern tier who are enrolled in many of the programs at Erie 2, including auto body, auto tech, conservation, cosmetology, culinary, small animal science, construction, criminal justice, health careers, and sporting conditioning. The excitement and enthusiasm of the students had their individual programs was contagious while speaking with them. She learned the plans of their college programs that they're going to be going on to within their fields and earning a paycheck offsetting college expenses. It sounds so much nicer than a huge student loan with Sally Mae. I gravitated towards criminal justice table and spoke with two young ladies who spoke highly of their teacher and their love for BOCES. One remarked without it, she may not have stayed in school, but she discovered her career path and is going to be going to college. Then she had a chance to visit with a student in the sports conditioning program and heard about all the many aspects of conditioning the human body. Incredible, rigorous program, and they learned more than most of us could imagine. It wouldn't be an open house without sampling all the culinary art, tasty delights. If you're on a diet, it might not be a great place to attend. At least portions were sample size, not that anyone was denying repeat trips. When I asked a kid at BOCES, when I asked a student at BOCES that got a bad rap, it often seemed the place to send the students who were not strong in academics. If that was ever true, this is not the truth today. Today, it's something that our guidance counselors still fight, that 30-year-old stigma. Parents are reluctant to allow their children to sign up for one of these programs, thinking it means the child will be students who are disruptive, unmotivated, and uninterested in learning. That couldn't be farther from the truth. With a 95% graduation rate, these students are very motivated and learning about what they want to learn. Speaking from experience, 2 of my 4 kids attended BOCES programs and thrived. Both went on to college programs in fields similar to their successful career paths. They also formed lasting friendships with classmates. Some of these students didn't want to go to college, but with the credits and certificates earned in their programs, they secured employment, often even before graduation, making over $50,000 a year. This is a statistic supported by the BOCES annual report. BOCES programming is stronger than ever, and while it still provides a high quality education in a non-traditional classroom setting, I believe non-traditional classrooms with field experience opportunities is a strong model for future careers of our students. Lectures is only one piece of a quality education, and BOCES programs must remain as an option for the success of our students. And just to add my little piece in here, thank you to the board for supporting us sending at Iroquois any student that wants to attend. We have no limit on that. Next hour, I was at the annual meeting with the district superintendent, Dr. David O'Rourke, and deputy superintendent gave the annual report. Highlights of this report are detailed. Participants heard about many programs available in the service BOCES can offer to component districts, including professional development and the science of reading and other professional training, shared service, and new pilot music program launching in the fall for students with disabilities. The detailed overview of the annual budget, which as a component district we will be soon voting on, and that's the meeting that we were talking about a little early that we had to add in April 29th. It ended with a video of the students' testimonies about the positive experience of BOCES. Dave Lowry then introduced the candidates for election of the next BOCES board. Each gave their comments. There's 5 seats up for election, and all incumbents are running for a re-election. If you need any more information, please contact Jane. On April 22nd, we will convene a brief, on April 29th, we will convene a brief meeting at Iroquois to cast our ballots for BOCES board candidates and the annual budget. I'd like to advocate that our board continue to budget for sending students to BOCES, career technical education programs. It's money well spent. Sincerely yours, Jane. And Jane, you got your wish. We are doing that. So thank you for allowing me to give that brief update from Jane.
Next, we're going to move on to the superintendent report.
With that, there were no community communications from last board meeting, but I do have to recognize scholar athletes, the number of individuals from different teams. So these are all from the high school. The boys basketball had 11, boys bowling had 6, boys indoor track and field 27, boys swimming and diving 7, competitive cheerleading 9, girls basketball at 12, girls bowling 5, indoor girls track and field 22, rifle 12, and unified bowling 28. That is excellent. Going along with that, Ryan, one of our student athletes here by the Athletic Association Center, Fox 29 and My TV Buffalo was the Scholar Athlete of the Year, and that earned him a $5,000 scholarship. Congratulations to him. And this is really not a recognition, but a thank you. I have this real thick book here. I don't bring it up every year, but this is from the girls basketball team with an 18-4 record. And they send it to me, and I actually just want to thank them. I look through it. They have nice picture in the beginning, but they have other activities they do outside of the season, and all their records, their news articles. So I take time and read through that. So thank you and congratulations to them on a successful season. That is what I have for tonight.
Okay. Do we have any guests for agenda items?
We do not.
Okay. Next, we move on to discussion of agenda items. I would like to congratulate and point out that Dawn is in the audience. She's going to be our new district clerk. So thank you, Dawn. And she's right back there. Welcome to our family. I would also like to take a brief moment to point out that from the Harris Foundation, we had a donation, World Class Taekwondo gave 2 donations, and the Iroquois Foundation also gave some donations to the district.
Thank you.
So we want to thank them for that. Does anyone else have things they'd like to add?
Yep, Mr. O'Brien alluded to it a little bit, but you'll see we have several retirements on the list tonight, and I couldn't imagine how many hundreds of hours or years they put in to this district and dedication to the students. So we have some of them you already mentioned: Diane Campbell, David Carchison, Janice Cheney, Tim Gasto, Melinda Harvey, Sue Leo, Linda Whalen, Kristen Winnicki, and Judy Gingrich, who are all going to be retiring at the end of this year. But we're also going to be welcoming a few people. Erica Forget will be joining us next year as our art teacher. Laura Sayada is going to be joining us for speech soon. And then Amy Pazinski, who will be our new part-time senior clerk typist in the athletic office. And I also, too, want to congratulate Dawn. She's going to be a great addition to the board. She's going to be a great addition to the superintendent's office. So congratulations to her as well.
And kind of on that same line, I just kind of want to point out that as we always strive to become better and better, that, the Iroquois family is very successful. I mean, I think you told us recently how a lot of districts are having trouble getting applicants even for the vice principal. How many applicants do we have right now?
Oh, it was over 30, I think around 36. Yeah, see, I'm already looking at Dawn for answers.
Yeah, so it's just that, we definitely, have an excellent district, and we're proud of it. We always know we can get better, but just kind of want to, it's recognized out there of what we stand for, so it's a good thing. Next, we're going to move on to the consensus agenda.
John, I think want to talk about the external auditors quick.
I apologize.
Yes, we did let me turn this on. As we like to do every number of years, we like to do an RFP process. We talked about how we did it with the health insurance. We also do it with our external auditor, which is the year-end auditor, who goes through our financials and prepares our financial statements at the year-end. We did a process, I think there was about 6 companies that we sent our proposals, our applications out to. We received 3 responses. And based on those responses, we're going to make a change next year and go to Drescher Malecki for our this year's year-end auditor. Add some savings to the district as well. So the audit committee did review those results and made the recommendation for Drescher Malecki for next year, and that's included in here as well.
Thanks.
Okay. The basic purpose of the consent agenda is to act upon routine matters in an expeditious manner. Items placed on the consent agenda are determined by the board president and vice president in cooperation with the superintendent and are those which are considered common to the operation of the district and normally require no special board discussion or debate. Board members have the ability and the responsibility of reviewing the consent agenda ahead of time. A board member may request that any item on the consent agenda be removed and inserted in an appropriate place on the regular agenda. The president will present the initial motion, followed by a request for a second motion. Is there any request to withdraw any items from the agenda? Is there a request to add any to the agenda? Okay. I motion that we approve the agenda. Can I have a second? It's seconded by Todd. All in favor? So we have 4 in favor, none opposed. Okay. Do we have any guests that would like to speak on non-agenda items? Okay. Do we have a need for an executive session?
I do not have one.
Okay, I have motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second? It was seconded by Heather Becker. All in favor? Shows 4 in favor, none opposed. We are adjourned. Welcome, Dawn.
I think this is a record.
Yeah, it doesn't usually go this quick, Sean.